Big congratulations for kicking the season off in winning ways. How was your weekend at Workington?
Yeah, it was really good. Obviously, always really pleasing to go and get your first win in round one. Difficult task going to Workington, newly promoted team, and always a tough gig going to Cumbria as well, especially in the conditions that we had to play in. So, yeah, really pleasing.
Well, I'm imagining based on the weather conditions where I am, Eamon, that it was pretty gusty at Derwent Park over the weekend. And to use a bit of a cliche, was that a bit of a leveller?
Oh, to be fair, I wouldn't want to be disrespectful to Workington. I think they had 8 players in their team who played for us previously, so we'd spoken about it probably for the last 3 weeks. Started drip feeding that we were going to Workington round one and just how tough that game was going to be, because we know a lot about some of their individuals. It wasn't much rugby being played. It was a bit old school, but no, again, just really pleased to go and get the win. The weather was awful. I think the day before in Newcastle, we were training. We had to cancel our captain's run because the wind was that bad. There was nearly the rugby union game was nearly getting called off. That had to get moved to 7 o'clock. So we kind of expected it to be bad, just probably not as bad as what it was.
So let's talk about preparations heading into the season, because that's a fantastic start there. What's your thoughts on what Newcastle Thunder are capable of this season? Because last year, I think it's safe to say, was very much a finding your feet season. What's the plans this year?
To improve. We're not going to go out and make any silly noises. We know that this is probably now the start of our journey. Last year was maybe the start, but we've got a new group. We had 9 debutants at weekend, so it just shows you how many changes we've made there. And I think the key is maximising our time together. I think going full time has helped us enormously. We've got lads based up in Newcastle now, so we don't just get to train more. It's more we get to get the right recovery into the lads and give them the right amount of information that they need to prepare for a game as well. So, look, the big one for me is that we improve from Workington, and then we're going to take it week by week. We know that this is going to be a real difficult season. I know that from my experiences last year. So we'll keep our feet firmly on the ground and just continue to work hard.
I was going to ask you about, is there any lessons from last year? Because there was games which were superb performances. There were some games which might not have necessarily been, meeting your expectations. But generally, I think it was accepted. It was a decent year for Newcastle Thunder. So what have you taken from what you've learned from last year into this new season?
I think you just can't take anyone in this competition lightly. That was the big one for me. I think there's a lot of teams in the league that are part time, and I've got a little more respect for them because it was really hard for me last year. That was my first ever involvement in being part time. If you can go to work all day and then turn up and play the toughest sport, then you've got some resilience about you, and there's a toughness about you. So every game that you play this year is going to be tough, and that's the key message for us, that we have to be preparing right, recovering right, and making sure that we don't take anyone lightly.
And that then takes us to this weekend's game then. And obviously Workington, tough place to go, tough start to the season. Batley, what's your thoughts on this one?
Going to be very, very tough. Very, very tough. I've watched the last couple of games. We know firsthand from the games that we played them last year. I think, they've got a real settled squad. And they've got some mavericks in there. I know Tom Gilmore very well, played with him. He's still doing what he does really well. The spine really settled. Hooley, White. There's just threat throughout the field. You look at the spine there, but then you can't go away from the backfield. They've got threat and strike there as well. And then the pack's probably one of the best in the league as well. So again, important that we look at Workington and what we did well, but more importantly, what we need to be better at this week, because we're coming up against a real tough opposition.
And have you had a chance to, without giving too much away and doing Craig Lingard's team talk for him, but have you had much chance to watch the footage from Batley's match against Halifax? Because it seemed like a very good performance that they put in there, and a very determined performance to get that victory.
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head there. So, game of two halves, but that's Batley for you. They don't go away. And we learned that last year. We had 2 very tough games against them. I think each game I've watched them in this year, the Bradford, the Widnes, and now the Halifax game, that's them. They will not go away. Don't take too much into the friendlies. That's just more looking at some of the personnel. But yeah, I always knew that game against Halifax was going to be a tough one. So, I think that they'll be prepared for this game, and we just need to focus on ourselves and know that this team won't go away, and we need to be on our A game.
And it's going to be a home game, so the first competitive home game of the season. How much are you looking forward to that Kingston Park faithful cheering you on this weekend?
Yeah, I am. There was a good handful of them at Workington that travelled, and there might not be hundreds of them there, but they make a lot of noise. So I'm looking forward to seeing them at our home patch, and just be nice to get the first one at home. Hopefully, I know people are working really hard off the field to promote the game up in Newcastle and get more fans in. We've got to do our part on the field and make sure that we're getting results for them as well. So yeah, really looking forward to it.